And we're live. What is going on, everyone? I hope you all are having a great Tuesday afternoon. This is just kind of a little hangout that we do every week. Got some questions that came in over YouTube, the past couple of videos and such. So a lot of times some questions will come in over those, and so we'll kind of discuss some of that stuff. You saw the thumbnail. We'll talk about that in a minute. And if you have any questions, you can get in the chat and ask them. This is on Tuesday. I do this by myself. So if you use a super chat, I will definitely see it. Hopefully, I will see it if you don't use a super chat. So, and I was going to tell you, we'll talk about some pedals and stuff too. The reason I'm in a different spot is because I am actually using this to shoot a new thing. If you're on Patreon, you'll hear about it sooner. I'm working on something. So yeah, Patreon members and YouTube members, everybody that was at the live monthly hangout thing last night, and I will be uploading that to the internet, so those of you that missed it can watch it in replay. We'll give you a little background into that, what I've got going here, but I'm shooting something special. I'm using this table to do it. So Leslie's actually out of town this week. She's in Las Vegas. So kind of taking over the whole deal and shooting some stuff. Brought out the big lights, brought out a mic boom, the whole deal. So we're doing it a little different. So it's also why it's a little bit echoey in here, because it's a bigger room and etc. Did you get a Dean? No, I did not. I don't really care about Deans. But we're going to talk about them real quick. So let's talk about that really fast. So the thumbnail, we know, in fact, I'm going to bring this up so that I am accurate on it, because I want to make sure that I speak accurately about this. But basically, Dean lost a trademark case against Gibson, and they basically said you can't shoot or you can't use the V, and you can't use the Explorer shapes. Dean had been selling those shapes. As of this morning, when I looked at this, those shapes were still being displayed on the website. Now, here's the interesting part. You can't buy those shapes, but they're still on the website. And so Gibson is saying that's like a contempt of court situation, because you're told that you can't use those shapes anymore and they're still on your website. And you, people that don't like Gibson in the comments all the time, might be saying, that's stupid. I can't believe they're making a big deal out of that. But it is the way the law works. So if you put Mickey Mouse on your product, even if you don't sell that product, if it's on your website, Mr. Disney is going to come up out of his grave and he's going to come sue you. So I don't know why Dean is still showing old models of those shapes on their websites, because they really shouldn't be. But it puts them in a weird spot too, because they've got some signature models like the Michael Schenker guitar, the V, that is not their shape anymore. They don't own it. So what are they going to do about that? It's kind of interesting. This whole thing is going to be in the news for quite a while, I think, this whole fighting about trademarks. And I'm glad, because I want to know. We all need to know. We all need to understand how it works. I know a lot of people don't like it, but the law is the law, and there you go. It's pretty interesting stuff. Tuesday is the new Friday. I like that. So, no, I do not have a Dean, but I did notice them in the news this week, and we will see what happens with that. And at the same time, Gibson and Dave Mustaine are coming out with another V. So that's kind of interesting. Also, Dave Mustaine, signature Dean electric guitar, silver flying V. It's not anymore. He's with Gibson, and they're redoing all that stuff in the Gibson stuff, which makes sense because Dean can't make those shapes anymore. I kind of get it. It totally makes sense. So, let's see. Going through some of these questions really fast. I just want to make sure that we didn't miss anything. We shipped like 15 orders in the last 2 days. Me and Bryson worked till way late last night, and I got up early again today. We got a shipment of parts from our supplier that got hit by the hurricane. And so we're getting out of our little hole of not available parts. So I want to tell you about that too as well. I got some questions that came in over the internets, and here they are. Let me grab some. Somebody asked, so we did this video. This just came out Monday, so we'll work backwards because this is just how it is on my phone. We just did the video on the, oh, hang on. We got a super chat. Let's take care of that super chat first, and then we'll get to this. Hi, everyone. Sorry you missed the Zoom meeting. Internet was down. Ah, bummer, dude. Yeah, I was wondering where you were last night, Mr. Tourville. So thanks for the super chat, and thanks for thinking of us. I was wondering where you were last night. So we did this Duke of Tone pedal review, and we did it a little different. We did it kind of like a technical thing, also a review. And somebody asked me in the comments, does your explanation of the 3 modes on this pedal hold true for all pedals, or is it specific to the Duke of Tone? No, it's not specific at all. The whole way boost versus overdrive versus distortion works is the main concept holds true, honestly, across not just pedals, but also any amp stage. So your preamp and your power amp in your amp, any kind of boost pedals you put in front of it, any kind of drives you put in front of it, even if you don't use it within the same pedal. So if you have 2 overdrive pedals and we, make this one super gainy and use the overdrive in this one, and we use this one as a boost in front of it, we can use this as a boost, this as a drive, we could use this as a drive, this as a distortion, we could boost a distortion, we could flip them around, but all of those characteristics are still going to largely be the same. The only difference being these are 2 good, well, this is a better example. The Origin Effects Halcyon, they sent me this to do a review on. And this is an example, this pedal is an example of something where the maker of the pedal took the basic concepts of boost, overdrive, and distortion and kind of made it a tweaking paradise here with the way you can adjust all of it. So, and then played within the main concepts of it and be able to really shape the sound more. So this is kind of a tweaky, nerdy kind of guitar pedal, I think, and it's really cool. So when we start to do the review on this thing, if you have any questions about this, if you know anything about it, put them in the comments of the video, and I will try to include the answers to those questions in the video. This is a really neat pedal. Anyhow, it's basically an 808, but it has a bunch of other stuff that it does. It's really cool. And the thing that I think is very interesting is when we're talking about making sound with an electric guitar, we're talking about making electricity. And so a boost pedal just makes more electricity. And an overdrive pedal changes the shape of the electricity. And a distortion pedal changes the shape of the electricity in a different way. That's all it really is. But you're just making more electricity. And you have a limit to how you can do that cleanly and how you can make it. That's really all it is. But it does apply across the board, which is an interesting thing. Jacob from an older video this week said, pickups are overrated. In this generation, if you don't like the way it sounds, just EQ it after the fact. Too bright, add bass. Too dull, brighten it up. I used to be a pickup nerd, and I came to the realization that it's just 70-year-old technology that he basically too long didn't read, but goes on and on about it. Literally no new sounds that haven't already been done a billion times. Just change the sound in post. But what if you're not recording? What if you're trying to enjoy the guitar in the moment and it's not doing a thing that you want it to do? With cheap pickups in my thing that happens to me all the time, and this is different for everybody, but for me, I'm looking for the tone knob, and I'm like, the tone knob doesn't turn up high enough. I need some more brightness on the top. I'm also looking for, like in that video we just did the other day, I wanted to turn the volume down a little bit and clean up. Like, I want those things. And if the pickup doesn't do that, you can't fix that. I've said this a million times. If you just take the pickup by itself and not the tone circuit and all the other stuff, that is as pure a sound as you're going to get. And if that pickup without all of that can't do it, then it can't do it at all. Because you're not going to add it in afterwards. It's just not going to happen. If it's not there to begin with, you can't add it in, if that makes sense. We got another super chat from the Polyester Pimp. Thank you so much. That is a sick name. Although it's all synthesized, what's the best way to emulate guitar tone from a 0x? A7. Oh, you know what? I don't know. Does he use a sustainer? He might use a sustainer. I don't know that that's all synthesized. He might use a sustainer. Thanks for the super chat. I hate to say I don't know, but that's anybody who else reads that comment, see if you can help him with that. I don't know, but I would say that there's just some effects on top of the guitar. But that band does a lot of stuff with not guitars too. So I like that band. People talk crap to me about it, but I really like that band. Also, since we talked about Bigfoot last week on Thursday, this guy, again, too long, didn't read. Look at that. It's a lot of things. But basically, he was telling me I'm wrong and Bigfoot absolutely exists. And there's been thousands of sightings and I'm wrong and etc. So my thing is this. Bigfoot, to me, maybe this should have been the thumbnail. Bigfoot, to me, is basically the same as Tonewood and its effect in electric guitars. The evidence scientifically so far says that Bigfoot and Tonewood in electric guitars is stupid, but I don't make up my mind completely on anything. So if somebody comes along with actual science and shows me a picture of Bigfoot with an actual cell phone or like a proper camera that can stay in focus, and somebody can show me that they know what the resonant frequency of a piece of alder is, which is impossible to measure, that's why it's stupid, then I will change my mind. Totally change my mind. They're kind of the same. As long as the evidence stays where it's at, it's just a dumb conversation that people have fun with, but doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Kind of the same thing. Let's see. Next. Chrome or nickel covers on a humbucker, what are the best? So it doesn't matter. I don't know if you know this or not, but nickel and chrome are the same. So when you have a chrome, I don't have anything chrome here. When you have a chrome thing, chrome is actually nickel with a coating on the outside of it, for lack of a better word. Basically, you've got raw nickel, and then you've got shiny nickel, and then you've got chrome on top of nickel. But chrome is a coating. It's not a material. What you really should be concerned with pickup covers, if you really want to get nerdy, is the substrate that the pickup cover is made of itself. Brass or nickel. Brass can put some weird effects into stuff that is kind of hard to measure and kind of hard to quantify, and most people don't know the difference. But for the sake of making a quality product, we don't use brass covers. That has a lot more to do with anything than chrome or nickel, because chrome or nickel is basically the same thing. One has a coating and one doesn't. That's why you can easily age nickel, but you can't easily age chrome because it has this hard coating over the top of the nickel. So pretty interesting. There's stabilized footage of that Bigfoot shot, and it's literally a dude in an outfit. Oh, I know. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of that crap. About our acoustic guitar with the hole in it, the G-hole, the Gibson G generations deal with the Gibson player port. I call it the G-hole. Somebody asked me, and I was going to include this in the video, but the video is getting too long, and it didn't really make any matter. It would have been interesting to get a comparison of the sound port plugged versus open from the mic in the front. So when we did that video, you know, we put that overhead mic over here and I played it and you could hear it, and the guitar was louder when I pulled the thing out of the top of the guitar. But did it change anything and how the guitar projected from the front, having the hole plugged or not? And so by nature of how I was shooting that, my speaking shotgun mic was on the top of my camera, and I had a second shotgun mic up here. So the camera mic that I was talking to you on was already set up on this camera, and I had this one up here. So it was very simple for me to toggle between, it was very simple for me to listen to the front microphone and then listen it as the thing came out. And it didn't really change anything. I think in a controlled environment, really scientific playing, you could probably tell a difference in the front from the front mic. But in real life, like playing, you're moving around some, and you're, like if you're playing live or whatever, it's not going to really notice. You're not going to really notice. My biggest bummer with that guitar was the pickup. I didn't like the pickup in it. It was kind of, I didn't say that in the video because I didn't really want to bash on it too hard, but it was just okay. It was an okay pickup. I think there's better ones out there, and maybe we'll change it. Maybe we'll put a new pickup in it. Is that because brass makes an electric charge with the magnet in the pickup, like copper? No. What happens, we have a video on this. What happens is when you have a piece of metal that is perpendicular to magnets, so a base plate on the bottom of a pickup or the cover on the top of the pickup and the magnets are here, what happens is there's this thing called eddy currents, and basically it's this loss of energy that kind of like swirls out into the top of the pickup. And the way you combat that is you break up that surface. So like a radiator top on a pickup won't do this, but a full cover will. That is why pickup covers do make a tiny bit of difference in the tone of the pickup. Then the material, if it is brass, it's worse than if it's not brass. Brass is kind of the worst at creating those eddy currents, which kind of, the lack of a better word is they create a perpendicular interference with the inductance that's going on in the coil. It's not magnetic. It's a whole nother, well, it kind of is. Maybe I need to do another video on it because I can demonstrate it. I can show you in physical terms. We have a video on the channel, it's way long time ago, where I took a sheet of aluminum. It was about this big and I had a really strong magnet. It was one of those magnets that like I can put a GoPro on the top of my car. And I put the aluminum on like a 45-degree angle. And I took that magnet and I slid it down the aluminum. Now aluminum's non-ferrous. But what happened as that magnet passed over that is eddy currents happened within the aluminum that disrupted the magnetic field of the magnet, and it like skidded. It went. It didn't just slide down. It like stuck to the aluminum. Now aluminum's not ferrous, so it's not a magnetic thing, but it was the metal being perpendicular to the poles of the magnet. It interfered with the magnetic field and it caused it to like glitch as it went down. Same thing happens above a pickup with a cover on it. So it can goof with it a little bit. Aluminum and brass are the worst as far as those materials go. Really cool. It's a neat thing to think about, But to tell you the truth, it doesn't make that much difference in real life enough to say I'm never going to put pickup covers on my guitar again. You can engineer around it. Like people will take their telly pickup covers off, their neck pickups, but I make a pickup that sounds good with it on, and then it's fine. Like, so you can kind of engineer around it if you plan for it, if that makes sense. Speaking of that acoustic guitar, let's see. I'm a bit confused. Dylan did a quick mini review of the approximately $1,200 the G-hole guitar a couple years ago and said it was more in line with a 600 or 700-ish guitar. I love the channel due to its honesty, so I am wondering what the big differences are. Okay, first of all, let's get a couple things. I am live streaming. 40 more minutes. Leslie is in Las Vegas and she is texting me, so I just want to tell her that she cannot call me right now. Okay, so let's see. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So the original G-hole that came out, it wasn't at an industry show. It was actually at Sweetwater. I played one at Sweetwater. And this was early in the Gibson takeover quality kind of stuff. And that guitar was garbage. It looked like, I mean, it literally looked like somebody like used a pocket knife to shave the bracing. I mean, it was terrible. The guitar was terrible. And it was just felt cheap. It just felt cheap. Time has gone past. And I am not one of these people who thinks that just because something bad happened in a company a few years ago that nobody should ever buy from that company again because the morons on the internet told me so. I don't do that. That guitar is good, and Gibson is making fantastic things right now. So I have no problem with it. It's a great guitar. And the other thing I would like to address from that is, and I feel very strongly about this. I don't take this personally because I don't take this crap personally, but he likes the channel due to its honesty, so he's wondering what happened. It's called I Changed My Mind. It's called Things Changed, and I Changed My Mind. So I don't know if you know this or not, and I'm not speaking to him personally, but you're allowed to like learn things and change your mind. And if you're not constantly learning and understanding what's changing in the world around you, you get left behind. And so I don't do that. I'm always open to learning new stuff. And that guitar changed. And I'm surprised that I spent my own, it's right back there. I'm surprised I spent my own money for that guitar, but it's really good and it's really worth it. So, yeah. And I think that's it. Let me go through some of these. There's comment. You aren't putting question marks in front of here, so tone metal is a thing. Absolutely, it is. So metal. Let's see. Sound Lab Studios, you are late for the illegal guitar discussion. We discussed that earlier. Can the Gibson pickup be changed easily? I think so, and I think I'm going to do it. I actually think I am going to replace that pickup because I like that guitar. I mean, we'll probably sell it because I do that, but I like that guitar. This is a funny thing. People are always asking me all the time. I thought you liked that. Why are you selling it? Because I have to. If I don't, then we end up with so many guitars that we can't walk through the house because we have a very small place and we're limited in that. What do you think of Railhammer Humcutter pickups? One of my buddies works there, and he told me he was going to send me some so that we could cut them apart and look inside. And that's something that I would really, really like to do. Let's see. I am. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. So yeah, have you played with passive bass cuts like the bass 5 or bass 6 strangle circuit? I've been investigating this for a while. I'm actually building a bass cut circuit. It's funny, Sean McMillan just pulled in here. Um, I'm actually building a bass cut circuit for Sean McMillan. It's not a bass cut circuit in all strictness. It's one of those reverend deals. So I'm doing that. Just let's see. I just finished the Texas Toast guitar build on Friday. Not a lot of time to jam on your pickups, but preliminary tones sound great. That's awesome. Brad, what did you get? I don't remember what you got. I'm trying to remember now. Patelli stuff, maybe? I don't remember. Oh, was yours the Telly with the Bigsby? That's really cool. I just spoke with Matt today because we are going to be in Colorado in a couple weeks, and ordered a bunch of parts to get there for everybody that's going to be in that pickup winding class. So that's going to be really fun. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. To get Eddie Van Halen currents, you take out the electronics, stick them in the middle pickup, and let your fingers do the rest. Yeah, you don't even need that many parts. If you're as good as Eddie Van Halen, you don't need any parts. You just play, right? That's all that matters. So, what else does everybody have going on? Do you have any other questions you want me to handle today? That's all I had, really. Didn't have as much stuff. And I've been really busy. We have been slammed. So I haven't given a lot of thought to content. Let's see. Yeah, I might make a video about the bass cut thing. The problem is it's hard to demo it because I don't have the guitar here. I'm just building a wiring harness. But I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think it's going to be really cool. So yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. And yeah, things are good. I'm shooting this whole new thing. I don't really want to say a whole lot about it yet. I'm hoping to have it out by, I don't know if it's going to make Black Friday. Probably not because of our weeks in production. So it's probably going to be Christmas time before this thing that I'm working on is going to be available. So it's going to be pretty sweet. But I think you are going to dig it. I'm going to dive into some stuff that we don't normally get to dive into on the channel in a 10-minute video. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. Do you know of anyone still building an amplifier without any tone stack, i.e. the old Fender Champ? Yeah, I have a couple friends that do. I don't know. I mean, does Supro have one? Is the Brian May Vox AC30 very similar to that? Just a volume knob? That might be... Yeah. That might be a thing. Question about a Les Paul. What is the best way to do the Jimmy Page mod? The best way to do the Jimmy Page mod is call Jersey Shore Guitar Garage in Florida. I know, Florida. We got Texas Toast in Colorado, and we got Jersey Shore in Florida. Jersey Shore Guitar Garage, get his drop-in wiring harness. Bam, done. Use our center punch pickups to do it. Me and him designed this together, actually, years ago. I designed the center punch pickups with his harness together. The color codes are all the same and everything. You just drop the sucker in and go. It's pretty cool. And then you have, boom, you have the Jimmy Page 21 harness. And it's easy. And it's not expensive. It's under $100. Yeah, really cool. What's the biggest sacrifice on getting the SE instead of the Core? Do you still have and play both? I sold my SE to a guy here locally. I could borrow it whenever I want, but I don't borrow it because I like my Silver Sky Core. They are different guitars. The neck is totally different. If you have small hands, don't get, I say that, I don't know. When I first got my Silver Sky, the American one, I didn't like it because I didn't like the neck profile. And I had to play it for like 3 weeks. And now I love it. I think it's fantastic. They weigh the same. The neck profile is different. The overall quality of the American one is worlds better. And I think it sounds better. Now, my Silver Sky, I put pickups in it because we have some Silver Sky replacement pickups for the SE that we make here. And they're to me, they're better than the ones that came in the SE. So, but I'm a pickup guy, so that's what I do. You might like it just the way it is, and it'll be fine. But the guitars play so differently that I really, 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 really like my American one. And if I had the choice, and I did have the choice, I kept my American one. It's way better. The people that said, "Oh, everything's the same and you can't tell the difference," they're blowing smoke. They're honestly blowing smoke. They're totally different. They play different. The quality's different. They sound different. Everything. One time, right after I got both of them, just a little story to go with this. One of my buddies collects vintage Stratocasters, and he gigs them so close to me. So I took my American Silver Sky, I took my SE, and I took and met him at a gig, and he had a 60 at that night. I think he had a 63 Stratocaster with him, and we played them all back to back, swapping around, whatever. And he gigged with all three of them that night. He played them all three on songs, and he's like, "A, they're all three totally different guitars. There's no way to even compare them. B, the American one is way better than the Silver Sky SE if you have the choice. If you don't have the budget for the American one, you will still really enjoy the Asian one." So, yeah, really, it's a really interesting setup. I love that guitar. Let's see here. Is it possible to make a P90 pickup for a Strat single coil slot? We have one. If you go to dylantalkstone.com, it's called the S90. It is not. It doesn't sound like a P90 in the strictest sense of the word. But what it does do is it leans it more that direction. You can't make it sound like a P90 because the shape of the coil is different. It just will not happen. But what you can do is you can make a Strat attack like a P90 and have more mid-range and hit the amp harder and interact with the volume knob differently and more. So it's just a really harder edge, bigger Strat pickup that leans more towards a P90, and it works really well. Super good. Super good. I don't want a Florida man working on my Gibson. Well, that's your loss, because I will tell you, Jimmy is freaking good. His stuff is, he makes the best drop-in wiring harnesses on the internet, and I have tried them all. Plus, I've known the man for 20 years, and he's a really good guy. Do you know anybody that does bowling ball finishes? I don't. I do not know. People really want to tell me that facts don't change. You're right. Facts don't change. Information changes, and the amount of facts that you have available to you changes. However, yeah, context for it. Like, I guess what I'm getting at is, okay, they do change though. The fact is, in 2019, the G series guitar that I saw enough examples of was terrible, and it was enough to make me not want to buy one and to never recommend it, because at that time the guitar was terrible. So you cannot say, and the fact changed that now they are not terrible. They are good. They're the same guitar, but well, however you want to say that. It's semantics. But anyway. Yeah. I like the fact that anyway, yeah, exactly. Silver Sky seems pretty rad, but I'm not a fan of the sound. Dude, Fiore, the end. That guitar is bomb. The one thing I don't like about the Silver Sky, it's the only thing I don't like, is that the tremolo is not floated, because John Mayer doesn't like his tremolo floated. He likes it flat on the body, which I could just float it, which I floated the SE before I sold it to the guy. And I thought about floating my American one, but then I got the Fiore, and it's floated 2-point, and I love that guitar. And so I was like, well, I'll just have one that's floated and one that's not, and it's fine. And the necks are way different, and it's totally different. Those two guitars, I haven't done that video yet either. The difference between those two guitars, because they are not the same. The Fiore and the Fiore is not a single hum Silver Sky, is what I'm saying. Completely different, and it's really, really cool. I love that guitar a lot. Still, I play it all the time. The Silver Sky, the Fiore is the reason I don't play my other guitars enough. Honestly, it's the one and when I test a new pedal or whatever, it's the one I grab first. It's every time. In fact, to the point that when I tested this pedal, I didn't like it. And then the other day, I was like, let me grab my Gibson SG Junior, because, I love P90s. And let me try it with that. And it was awesome. Once I played it with that, now this pedal is awesome. I'm going to sell this, by the way, if anybody wants it. I don't know, let's say $125 shipped in the United States. They're 150 new. Get at me if you want it. I just don't need it because I got a bunch of other stuff. It's really good. I really enjoy it, but I just don't need it. So $125 shipped in the United States. I still have the box. I know you people like the box. So anyway, there you go. Hit me. That'd be awesome. Your thoughts on Duesenbergs, Crunchbucker, or Humbucker pickups? I don't care about Duesenbergs. My buddy has them, and I've played them, and they're cool. Just buy a Gretsch. I don't know. They're like a fancy, pretty Gretsch. I don't know. I don't know. I've never liked them. I've never cared about them. Do you need to change the pickups to do the Jimmy Page mod? If you have 2-wire pickups, yes, you need to change the pickups. Are you religiously drinking today? Just translating the name on... Oh, LaCroix. It's just water. It's just fancy water. I've seen Porter pickups claim their P9Ts are telly-shaped P90s. Can that be true? They're good. I've played those. But here's the thing. The two main things that cause a pickup to sound how they sound is the magnets and the shape of the coil. Now, you can adjust the amount of wire that's on the coil. You can adjust the gauge of the wire. You can adjust all that kind of stuff. And you can make subtle tweaks to it. And that's what a lot of people do. They say, well, I'm going to put 8,000 winds on this one. I'm going to put 7,500 winds on this one. I would give you $20 and tell you you won't be able to tell the difference between 500 winds. Most people can't. But most people can tell if you take a Strat pickup and you knock an 1/8 inch off of it, then it completely changes the shape of the coil. It changes where the inductance happens in the coil, because the inductance is a interaction between the shape of the coil and the shape of the magnetic field that surrounds the coil. So if you change the shape of the coil and make it stick way out here, and the magnetic field is still the same shape because you didn't change that, then the sound of the pickup changes. So a P90 is a 1/4 inch tall and super flat, 10,000 winds. If you then take the same style of magnets, but then you take 10,000 wines and make it this wide and this tall, it's going to sound totally different. So you can get there, but you can't totally get there. It's going to be a compromise for sure. I say, what I tell people with this stuff is stop thinking about these crossover pickups. Even my stuff, even my humbucker size P90. We put one on Instagram this morning. We make a humbucker size P90. The reason we call it that is because it's constructed the same way of a real P90. It does not sound the same because the packaging is a little different size. So consider that a different flavor. You know, there is chocolate ice cream and there is moose tracks. They're both brown. They both taste chocolatey, but they are not the same. It's more like that. And I always go back to the 32 flavors thing and the ice cream flavor thing, but it's really true. They look the same. They kind of taste the same. They come from the same family, but chocolate and moose tracks are not the same. It's, you know, and you wouldn't get them confused. But you also wouldn't order one and say, I'm going to try to make it sound like the other. You just wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Or taste like the other. You just wouldn't do that. So it's kind of the same thing. I wish people would get kind of that concept that every one of these types of pickups isn't trying to sound like another pickup. It's another flavor. It's a whole nother thing. It's a whole new thing. You know. So yeah. 5762 Fender versus a Tex-Mex. Oh, I'll never put a Tex-Mex in anything. I don't like them at all. Let's see. People are still going on about what a fact is. Seems like there's a lot of time spent on what a fact is. Very interesting. Yeah, you should get this purple pedal if you don't have it. It's really good. I save all my boxes. You know, I used to, and then we lived in the motorhome for, you know, however long that was, 2 years, and I couldn't save anything. You know, I just couldn't save any boxes. And now I have stuff. This is bad. I don't save boxes for pedals, but I save boxes for knives. Because you might want to sell a knife. I don't care about pedals. And I don't care that I get the most amount of money for them. I enjoy them for the time that I have them, and I pass them on to you. And I don't need to get, it's whatever. But, like the collectability of this knife, for example, depends a lot on whether I have all the original stuff or not. So I keep it. What's up from Seattle? How's it going, man? You got a closet full of boxes. Yeah, it's for sure, man. Thoughts on the twangiest noiseless Tele bridge pickup? I don't care about noiseless pickups. People ask me all the time to try to get me to say which one I like the best, and I do not care about them at all. No way, no how. Won't make them. Don't like them. And I know a lot of people do, and I know that it's obviously a personal taste thing, but I just don't care about it. Flushed pulls on fenders. D-string too quiet or lifeless. D-string. Sounds like you got a bad string. That's weird. Oh, hang on. Let's ban some people. We banned you. A circle doesn't sound like a square. That's exactly right. Chocolate and death by chocolate. You guys are awesome. This is great. Remember that we are in the caveman era of guitar technology. There's so much room to grow that we think what we think is good tone is like caveman thought their cave art was a masterpiece, and they were for the time. Dude, you bring up a really interesting thing that I try to convey on this channel, and people don't let me say it. Or they don't pay attention when I say it. Guitars are dumb. And what I mean by that is, if this is a smartphone, this is a smartwatch, this is a computer, that camera can focus on my eyeball. Guitars are the dumbest thing we own. Like this is just a pocket knife. But there's more engineering in this knife than in any electric guitar. And this has probably less pieces in it than an electric guitar. But there's way more thought and engineering gone into this junk than a Stratocaster. Telecaster, doesn't matter. Guitars are dumb. It is the most basic, completely oversimplified application of a filter circuit with an inductor that ever was. So when people say, yeah, but this capacitor and that capacitor type and this, and I'm going to put a $15 capacitor in here and I'm going to use a $22 pot and blah, 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 blah. Because I heard that this capacitor, whatever, whatever. Well, yeah, in a radio telescope, that capacitor matters. In a transmitter, that capacitor matters, and the tolerance of that pot matters. But guitars are so dumb that they don't, it's the most basic application of electronics, E over IR, of anything out there that we use in 2022. It's the most basic. I can't think of anything more basic than, you know, like a volume knob guitar. I can't think of anything more basic than that. It is truly 40s technology in 2022, and we are way smarter than that. So don't overthink it. If it sounds good, it is good, the end. And I know that that probably puts a hole in my entire existence as Dylan Talks Tone, but it is really the truth. Yeah, it really is the truth. But my mojo crafted by a one-eyed goblin is, yeah, exactly. Guitars are only one step up in evolution to a hammer. It's really, really true. It's really true. Maybe I should change the thumbnail on this to guitars are dumb and see how many people watch it afterwards. Yeah, and it's the thing is how you use the tool. It's how you use the tool. And I know that I can make good stuff. I know we can make good pickups. I know that guitar builders can make great guitars, and there can be bad guitars and good guitars and bad pickups and good pickups. But even within that, it's a very simple, like, you know, we've got this Squire over here on the couch, that red Telly. It's going to Columbia, I think. I'm shipping it to Columbia tomorrow. And that Telly was terrible when I got it. Enough, I had to call Sweetwater and be like, guys, this guitar is terrible. It's fantastic now. And we didn't really change anything. We put new pickups in it and pots in it. And it sounds great. But we also went through the setup on it and made sure that it really, really plays well. And what we change when we change that stuff is the simplest of electronic circuits ever. And we changed very basic physics. Is the vibration clean? Is there a loss of energy to any buzzes? Yes. Okay, let's repair those problems. 2 files on the nut here, little setup tweak here, the end. Now the guitar is fantastic. We've done very, very basic things. And so I think if you think about it in those basic terms and don't overthink it, then you're going to enjoy your hobby more. If you know, and I'm excited to share with you what I'm about to share with you in the next couple of weeks, because it's going to take everything from 1,200 videos and it's going to put it, well, some of it anyway. We're going to start putting it into a thing where it's like, instead of having to Google for all afternoon, boom, here it is. You set up your guitar. And now that you know it, I can set up a telly in 10 minutes. Not because I'm awesome, because I'm not. I'm just a guy with the camera and a screwdriver. But once you know how easy it is and you're not overcomplicating it, then that's why you can set up a Floyd in 10 minutes. That's why we make that video. You can set up a Floyd in 10 minutes and not have to worry about it and not Google all afternoon and not stress about it and not pull out your hair and not make your wife mad. And you can actually set up a Floyd in 10 minutes. You can float a Strat in 10 minutes. Most of the stuff can be done in 10 minutes because it's so simple. And if you don't overthink it and don't be like, yeah, well, but the Callahan bridge, when they hang it from the wire and tap on it, then it sounds, and I think, you can if you want because it's fun. Totally. I mean, you can buy you can put titanium shock bolts in a dirt bike and they're $180 and they're cool. They don't do anything, but they're cool and it makes you feel good because you'd be like, look, I got titanium shock bolts in my dirt bike. My buddy used to do this all the time. He put like titanium axle shafts, titanium shock bolts. He would put titanium bolts in when Yamaha, actually I was a Yamaha guy for a while. I had Yamahas and they changed the clutch basket cover bolts to titanium and they looked super cool. I have titanium clutch basket cover bolts. Ooh. Like, it's so cool, but it doesn't do anything. 99% of all this stuff is the same thing. So I'm not saying don't do it, because if your guitar has to make you feel cool. Because if you feel cool, then you play better. And if you play better, you enjoy your hobby more. So don't not spend the money, but understand that when you buy a Callahan bridge and tink on it, you're buying titanium shock bolts. And it's okay, because it's cool. But that's just because it's cool. No other reason. Let me just make sure we got no scammers. I hope some more pickup stuff comes in. I want to see optical stuff. I met with some guys a couple years ago on some optical stuff that was pretty cool. Max, yeah. My new hat came in on Saturday because Max Formula One only has 3 more races left, and I don't know what I'm going to do about it because it sucks that it's going to be over. Devil's advocate, the more basic the tech, the more each component matters. Yes and no. The thing is that this is an interesting observation, and thank you for making it, because let's dive into this a little bit more. We got a few more minutes. The thing is about the components in a guitar, yes, you have fewer components, and yes, they are simpler. However, it's not about the amount of the components. It's the interaction between those components and the necessary tolerances between each of those, the interaction of those components. So, just like we said, if I change a pickup winding by 500 winds, most people aren't going to be able to tell. If you change and understand why, if you put a 500K pot in a guitar and it's a little out of tolerance and it's only 450K, you won't know the difference. If your pots don't match from your bridge pickup to your neck pickup, like one's 475K, one's 515K, and the volume pots on the bridge and the neck pickup, you won't be able to know the difference because they're doing two different jobs. This is an example of something that people way overthink, but because of the frequency response being so different of those pickups because of their location, it's no longer that relevant. Yeah, you want them to be within a tolerance, but it's not what everybody thinks it should be. So what I'm getting at is, it's not the number of components, it's how sloppy is the circuit? How sloppy, how precision does that circuit need to be in order for us to be able to hear a difference? And there is a crossover to that. You know, you go from 500K pots to 330K pots, you can tell a difference. But if you went from 500 to 450, with the right pickups, you might be able to, but a whole bunch of things would have to be in play there for you to be able to tell the difference. So the tolerances and everything are way looser than people realize. You can be way sloppier with this stuff and still have a good sounding guitar. I'm not saying it won't make a difference. I'm not saying that each component, if you change it out for something a little bit different, if you sit in a controlled environment with headphones and close your eyes, yes, I can kind of tell a difference, but that's not real life. That's not how we play guitar. We don't play guitar like that. And then the other people will say, well, it's stacks. So this little difference, and then this little difference, then this little difference, then this little difference, and now it's made this big of a difference. Except that every one of those little differences offsets each other to a point. So if this pot swings this way and this capacitor swings that way, and your string gauge swings another way, and your pickup swings another way, all those little differences have now just zeroed each other out, and it hasn't made any difference at all again. So unless you really, 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 really nerd out about this stuff, it's kind of just a waste of time. The bottom line is, and this is coming from somebody who sells pickups for a living. This is what I do. If you don't buy my pickups, I don't eat. So it sounds dumb for me to say this, but the bottom line is, if it's good, it's good. If you have a $150 guitar and you like how it sounds, play it. Don't buy new pickups for it. Unless you want to, get some titanium shock bolts and try some cool stuff, because it's cool. And they will, pickups will make an improvement. It is a performance enhancing device for your guitar. Ooh, I think I just thought of a new sales phrase. Performance enhancing device for your guitar. That sounds pretty interesting. We sell performance enhancing drugs for guitars. I like that. I like that a lot. I don't think I could probably say that word on YouTube. Hopefully they don't demonetize me. If you're not receiving YouTube notifications, undo it and redo it. Try that. Let's see. Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We're coming up on an hour. I'm kind of going through here if anybody has any questions on stuff. Let's see. Just making sure that we didn't. Twangy single coils. Our flat sixes are pretty awesome. You should try them out. Never change but one item at a time so that you can have a baseline to go back and try the next change. Yeah, if you're trying to scientifically figure something out, that's a thing. But like, for example, we sell pickups, like loaded pick guards. You're changing everything out at the same time. We sell Telecaster wiring kits and pickups together. The reason we do that is because you get the most benefit out of doing them both at the same time, because it's a set. Because I personally believe that people get too granular on this stuff. This is another kind of pet peeve I have. If you zoom out and look at the thing as a system, it helps. it's very helpful to look at the entire guitar circuit from the pickup to the end of your cable where it hits your first preamp. So your guitar cable is part of your guitar. It's not part of the amp. So if you look at that as a system and say, okay, what are we doing here? And you zoom out and look at the whole thing, then it makes more sense. Everything works together because the inherently E over IR, the rules of electricity, of electronics, say that resistance, voltage, current, and in our case, inductance added into that, interact with each other. That's why E over IR is expressed as a fractional mathematical equation, because you change one of those things, all three of those things change. So everything's a proportion. So when you can change one thing at a time to test things, but if you're going to make an improvement, it is nice to zoom out and look at everything as a system. I think it's really important to do that. Otherwise, you'll go down a rabbit hole that might not be the solution to your problem because everything interacts. And that's something to remember. I guess it kind of popped in my head just now, but the basic mathematics of electronics is it is a fraction. And it is basically, and it is all interactive. Everything is interactive. So you change one thing, all the other things change too. So by nature, it's nice to think about it as a, will we see new Bigfoot P90s? No, because we will not make a stacked humbucker, or a stacked P90 ever. Because I don't like them. Let's see. It looks like we're here. Awesome. I think we're good. You guys, this has been super fun. Is your guitar sound lacking, dull, and lifeless? They need to deal and pick. Yeah, I could see that being happening. This is great. This has been really fun. Thanks for hanging out. I try to keep these ones to about an hour. I am going to go and wire up some more loaded pick guards and wax pot some more pickups. Bryson's coming over at about 6. So my son has a job, but he comes over after work every day and he works with me in the shop. So in the office, we work together doing a bunch of stuff. So we're going to go in there and ship 4 or 5 or 6 more orders tomorrow and keep on working on getting caught up. So thanks everybody. And we will see you also for the news tomorrow at 12 p.m.